Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dandy's stream. Well, I should say cast. Once again, I am joined by Funky Franky. Funky, once again, would you like to introduce yourselves? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't speak English today, Funky.
That's okay. I'll teach you French. Yeah, so I'm Funky Franky. Pedro, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube. I've been playing Age of Empire ever since release, and I'm a pretty average player, standing around Plat 1, Plat 2 right now. And yeah, Dandy has been coaching me a little bit from time to time, and yeah, looking forward to this cast with you.
Thank you for joining me. And yeah, I've been teaching our good friend Funky here a little bit of French and JD, which, fun fact, Funky here is in fact a Frenchman who lives in a French-speaking area, or as far as I know, and he himself speaks French. So the American here is teaching the Frenchman how to play French.
Yeah, exactly. How atypical. And because I love French so much, I decided to play Delhi on this game because I can't keep switching civs apparently.
All right, you ready to get started here?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, press play. All right, once again, we'll do kind of a ×2 for the beginning, just for the fact that there's just, sadly, in 2v2s, nothing really happens for the first 4 minutes or so. It's just scouting, and Dandy does his 2 scouts. Let's find all the sheep. So, pretty normal Dandy thing. Yep, grab those 2. There's not a lot of sheep there. My opponent is he going to go defensive with his scout? Yes, he does. Which, I'll get a bunch of sheep across his backland probably there. Does he? Yep, he's going to move there. You go up to the middle, get some good sheep. Your opponent turns back around here. Yep. All pretty standard scouting patterns from all parties involved.
Yeah, and we can see like some standard openings as well. Like I go, with the mosque initially because Delhi needs to start researching. So you want to build buildings very quickly with Delhi, and so you have a slower edge up than other civs. And we can see also the Ayyubid player going with the House of Wisdom. So everything's standard so far.
Yep. House of Wisdom gets his vills on berries to save his sheep. Like, everything here is playing pretty standard. Not a lot going different. Though, so looking at the matchups here, we have French for our opponents, and then we have Ayyubid for our other opponent, while we went Delhi and Jeanne. And I'm going to be honest, I like our matchup pretty well. In so much that I think that French and JD are actually fairly decent against Ayyubid these days. Especially if they go military wing. A horseman will trade very efficiently against a desert raider. And obviously you can make horsemen very quickly out of your school cavalry. And then on top of that, you also have the Delhi, who has got Ghazis, which are definitely good against desert raiders. And the Ghazis are going to be very good at chasing down injured knights if it comes to like a 2v2 fight. So I do like the matchup. I think it's in our favor, if only for your Delhi. Because obviously French will beat Jeanne on a standard 1v1 with players of equal skill, in so much that they have more vills, which means more knights early. And more knights early means you're better at defending and being aggressive. Though we will see my opponent here is going to get charged by my knight first, and I will get a free set of hits off on him. Which, as the French player, I love. Because his knight's down to half, and mine isn't.
Well played. And I actually didn't see that during the game, but the Ayyubid player aged up with the military wing, which produces desert raiders every minute, or every 2 minutes for free for the rest of the game. Which I don't play Ayyubid much, so I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yep. And we do see my opponent, he did send the Desert Raider to my side of the map first, which really sucks because it kind of gave him a little bit of a military advantage in the fights. As my knights now get the debuff from the camel, though luckily I had a little bit better, I think, micro than my opponent. So I will get the camel and I'll weaken 2 of his knights to near death. So I still maintain a knight advantage, but it did cost me Jeanne, which means I have lost that bit of my military advantage, which does suck, because if I had Jeanne to do an AoE against those 2 injured knights, probably could have taken them out and just raided my opponent fairly easily. Though he has walled up his gold pretty well, but he has moved on to early farms, which really sucks for him. Oh, by the way, we're at the 8-minute mark, Funky, and I'm going to stop times 2ing. I kept that going for a little bit.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. And on my end, like, we could actually see if you moved over, like, the Ayyubid player went on berries and I raided him, so I got a few villager kills and I keep putting pressure with the Gazi raider. Although I lose a bit of them.
Yep.
But it's worth it to get some villager kills.
Yep. And if we look at Pink's eco, he's at 30 vils to Funky's 30 as well. So Funky, if you got some kills, that means you got some idle time there, bud. Oh, yep. We'll look at it right here, chat or viewers. We got idle TC. Funky.
Oh yeah, actually I see it as well. But that's because I'm so busy. I'm doing so many things, you know, as daily player.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
That's true. It's very important that you do your 100 eco techs that all queue up by themselves. Or they queue up for free, I should say, not by themselves. Jeanne, though, is finally back on the map, so I'm going to be able to engage a little bit better in the south while we wait for Funky to start putting in the pressure. Woo, we have 1 knight at 2 HP. I love to see that. We do see
good save.
Yeah, it was a little lucky he didn't continue that fight. We do see your Gazis are heading out, and the opponent has actually moved into Archer Spear mix. I don't mind the Spearmen, obviously, as you're going a lot of Gazi, but I don't like the Archers. Why go Archers when your opponent is just making Gazi?
Yeah, exactly. And I was moving on the map to get the sacred side, and it pushed me off. But I will. And I saw that it was going like heavy on infantry, so I'm gonna switch my unit composition pretty soon.
Yep. Which obviously, if you go Archer Gazi, you kind of just win here because he's mostly archers and a few spears.
Yeah, exactly,
Ooh, I do see 3 Gazi sitting idle in your base. Tis,
yeah,
Funky.
I know, and I spotted them late as well. Like the rally point wasn't set up initially, I think, from one of the stables. But I'm putting down the archery ranges that I need to go get the sacred sites now. And I was actually sending my scholar to the other sacred site, so the one in the middle. And I can't remember if I sent one to the bottom one. I think so eventually, but not initially.
I think you had to wait for me to gain a little bit more map control. My opponent here, as the French, was being very defensive and maintaining similar knight numbers to me. So we're kind of in a dead even kind of clash here in the south. And while you're kind of just out on the map gaining sacreds, and looks like the Gazis are going in for some raids up here in the west. Yeah, west. I know my cardinal directions. Don't at me, folks. I know northwest.
Yeah, because he was in the central of the map, so I sent them on to hit his wood line a little bit.
Mm-hmm. We do see some hesitation on your push here, which is a little bit of an issue. And then you watch, ooh, right into the wall, and you're going to lose a Gazi for that. But you are going to be able to pull out of there before you take too much damage, which is good. I'll say I don't hate 1 Gazi for 1 Vil. I don't think that's a horrible trade. Not a great trade, but not a horrible one.
Yeah, and I think it's also distracting him and making him think that he should pull back, and that's exactly what he's doing, pulling back his units back to his base, so I can go and check if he's taking the. And maybe I can take the sacred site now.
Yep.
And also what I'm doing in the back is I've been preparing for pro scout, so now I'm pro scouting my deer.
Yep. And your scholar that went down to the sacred site, which you got at this point, was able to heal up most of my knights, so I was able to amass a better knight mass than my opponent. Even though we had even numbers, my knights were more healed, plus I got the charge off. So what used to be a pretty even position, I think is starting to go in my favor due to that scholar coming in. I do love that for me. Love me some healing.
Because
it goes away.
He's moving back, right? He's like, okay, you're healed, you're good, you can go.
Yeah, that scholar came in, gave a lesson to the knights and went home.
Exactly, he has other business to attend.
Yep. Which, once again, the healing on the knights really coming in clutch here. I lose 1 knight for 4. That's great. And his knights are very damaged. Yep, and I'll have the Divine Restoration here soon, too. We do see that the Ayyubid player has gone to middle to take your Sacred. But at this point, you've really started to mass here, and the archery ranges are up. So you're going to be able to start making full counter for his military. So that is going to be rough for him.
And the funny thing with Delhi is like you actually, when you capture the 3 sacred sites, you actually don't care if you lose them, just because by the time that they uncap the sacred sites, you actually have enough gold to age up. And if you look at actually the Ayyubid player, I was able to have a good surround on his villages on the gold, and I think I killed like 7 of them.
Yeah, it was good.
Hurts.
Yeah, I would say that looks like 7 vills there. Almost exactly. And now you're going to be able to, with that many Gazis, you can kind of dive under TC. Even if you lose 1 or 2, he has to run from you. It's not like it's just 1 or 2 Gazis that he can ignore and kind of fight with his vills or something. So suddenly you're just going to be able to get this round off on those vills and just get more unit kills. Yeah, that eco is now devastated. You could lose this entire army now and not be behind anymore.
Exactly. I knew his TC was full, so I just have to follow them around and they'll be dead.
Yep.
And meanwhile, like the French player is just going on full farm transition, which none of us has done yet. So he's falling behind on his eco as well.
Yep. You have sacred sites here, and I think, do you go castle here soon? Yes, you have the resources to go castle. And you will. You're going to be dropping that House of Learning. Not a bad choice. I love House of Learning, especially if you have a villager lead. Ooh, and down the south, Purple will be taking a very poor engagement. I outnumbered him, I think, with 3 to 4 more knights, plus I got the charge off. And my knights were a little bit more healed than his. So we're going to look at the military numbers with my 22 versus Purple's 7. Yep, that is bad for him.
Yeah, that's bad. And Ayyubid is finally decapping my sacred site, but at this point I don't care because I'm aging up, and I'm just gonna amass more military unit. I'm putting off my scholars to heal my military units, and I'll start gathering relics now.
Yep.
And I'm just waiting for my upgrades to come in, and I'll be fighting with fully upgraded castle units.
Yep. And also, you don't really care if you lose the sacred sites. You do want the free gold. If you could have it, you want it. But you have enough gold right now, and especially with the other sacred across the map, that they can't decap because of me. So all your military and eco upgrades are free. So you're just going to spend that gold on military units, probably like men-at-arms or just some lancers if you wanted, or crossbows or whatever. Which you don't really need any of those except for maybe some men-at-arms, just because they're a soft counter, I think, to everything he's making. Archers, spears, desorators, none of those kill men-at-arms, so I think you're in a pretty good position. Obviously,
yeah, absolutely.
Or go ahead.
You know, my only mistake here is like I was floating too much wood, but yeah, because typically like at this point in the game, like I'm usually doing my farm transition, but I've noticed that, so I'm reassigning my villagers to food.
Yep. Over here on my end, we've defeated the purple military, but I do see that he was pumping in spears, and my knights are still feudal, and half my army is actually horsemen. So just to kind of make sure I'm not making any major mistakes and throwing away army needlessly, just in case, let's say, Pink can come over there and help him, I'm not going to just continue to dive his TC. Though I will start to burn down walls, idle out his villagers that need to repair it, while you are continuing to kind of gather in the north. And we do see, yep, you got some lancers coming out. Yeah, at this point, I think you kind of can just pull off of wood, build like 1 to 2 more of each infrastructure building, and then just get them all on farms or berries, just to get a massive food economy going. And you have enough gold, especially with the relics and the sacred site and the vills you do have on gold, that you're pretty much you got a good gold income, especially since you're not spending it.
Yeah, and I was surprised that he actually pushed with the ram, because all of my units are now upgraded, and his are as well. Not everything is upgraded, but that was a kind of a poor decision from his side. And I see that you're pushing in as well. And
Yeah.
I think on Purple's side, I think his mistake is that he went for a full farm transition. He spent so many resources there.
Well, and the problem Purple had is that his food is all kind of in the open to the right of his base or the south of his base. So if he wants to get on that food, he needs to beat me. And luckily, he made a couple micro mistakes early, and I got the knight advantage to kind of stay even with him. So he didn't have a food option like I did. And to be fair, there is an advantage for me in that you gave me like 10 sheep. So if I ran out of sheep, if I didn't have that 10 sheep, I probably would have had to either go out on the map sooner, which would have put me at risk for raids, or I would have had to do farm transitions of my own, which would have slowed down my knight production. So that was a really helpful thing that you did there for me, Funky. I will give you the credit there. You gave up your food for me, and that really did help my fight against the French.
What can I say? I'm a generous man.
You are a very generous Funky. The one thing I think they really should have done differently was go the culture wing early and get the dervishes. I think the dervish healing would have been very helpful for him.
On the knights, yeah.
Yeah, with his knights, and he could leave one at his allies to go just sit under his TC for his knights to heal with under TC, while he could left one at his base for horsemen. And actually, funnily enough, dervish healing on his horsemen would have allowed his horsemen to beat your Ghazi, because your horsemen, while they're weaker than a Ghazi, in terms of if you were to get like, let's say, like 50 Ghazi versus 60 horsemen, that's like, let's say that's roughly the amount of resource difference, the horsemen would win. Like, Ghazis only win 1v1. They don't win in terms of resources. So I think in general, I think that was a misplay by the Ayyubid. I think he was just really trying to help win fights over on my end, thinking that, okay, if he sends one Desert Raider over to my end, he'll be able to get a little bit more pressure on me, which means that I'll break very quickly because French shouldn't actually win. I think I was just a slightly better player than my opponent, which allowed me to get the advantage, and which then left the Ayyubid player too weak to then fight you. So I think it was... go ahead.
Yeah, but I think it's actually a good call out, because I pulled my scholars, but I think I should have left it to keep healing your units. Then that would have been like a continuous healing throughout the game.
Yeah,
and I don't need to worry about the scholar.
Yeah, if my knights are being healed and he's just always in behind my army, I then get to cycle out all my injured units, which they are going to be healing with the chivalry, but then we have the scholar on top of that, which means my knights would have healed very efficiently, very quickly, which would have been super helpful. I think you giving me the scholar at that time is what allowed me once again to kind of clinch that fight against purple, because I had all my military at that point, by the way, was half dead, or at least like 1/3 dead, and I only had one more knight than him. So if half my army dies before half his army dies, well, then he has more mass than me in actual numbers. So in terms of engagement, I needed the healing to be able to engage with him. So I think the healing from the scholar there really did come in clutch.
Yeah, I'll take that learning for my next game. And if you're watching and playing Delhi and playing team games, I guess maybe try to heal your allies. Apparently, that's a thing.
Yeah, no, and that's actually one thing. I think Delhi is really good in twos with a Knight Civ, whether it's Rus, it's French, it's JD, it's Malians, anyone that has a really good cavalry unit in feudal is going to really benefit in a 2v2 from Delhi, because the Ghazis are going to be very mobile. They're going to take out knights that are running away. So if you're in a French v French fight, the Ghazis can come in after you start to win a fight and chase down the running knights so they don't actually escape. So that's really helpful. And then you also have all these scholars that can go in, heal up your really high like HP units, because I almost never lost any of my knights. I had most of them alive, and I managed to have like half an army of half dead knights, which your scholar could save. So suddenly that scholar is getting way more value for itself than it would in a 1v1. And because it's a 2v2 instead of a 3v3 or 4v4, the map isn't so large that the scholar doesn't have time to come in and help.
And I think also, like, because both of these Cs need map control. Like French is so good, or French or JD is so good at getting map control. Then it means you can just capture the secret side. Delhi, it's just
Yep.
like, you know, snowballs into castle very quickly and gets even more map control and pressure on the opponent.
Yep.
Yeah, capture the relics pretty quickly.
Yep. Lots of good. I personally think that Delhi and French is probably one of my favorite combinations for twos. A lot of people like to go for an archer civ like English, or maybe going with Mongols for the Mengidai that are highly mobile and ranged units so they can bounce back and forth. But I do see a lot of value in Delhi paired with Night Civs, so it's the one I enjoy.
Well, good thing that we both like playing these civs then. we can keep playing together.
Yep, it works out well. Any final words for the viewers here, Funky?
Well, I hope I know that there are not that many Delhi players out there, so I hope that gave you a new appreciation for the civilization, and you'll try it in your next game.
No, there you go, guys. Well, thank you all for joining me. I hope you all enjoy the video and see you in the next one. Y'all take care.